We thank you guys very much for going through the process and the business cases and the evaluation of Mplify and looking at what we do and our so on and so forth, and ultimately deciding to join us. And of course, we're represented by very senior executives here, and that means a lot to us. So the objective today is just to have you talk about your companies, what you do, why you're here, and about 3 minutes or so. I chopped a couple of your slides down. I think you got that notice, but no shortage of things to say. But yeah, let's just have a little quick rapid fire, and you guys can jump in and ask any questions. And of course, we wanted to introduce these gentlemen. They're here for the whole day. You can talk to them outside and so on and so forth. So with that, I'm going to hand you the controls. Well, I mean, we could be waiting for a while. I think you should probably get going, because otherwise I'm going to be late.
So we're very excited to be here at the Mplify. When I spoke to Pascal for the first time, the visions were so aligned. The whole federation concept and sovereignty of data is very, very critical to Graphiant architecture as well. So what we're focused around is how telecoms should be datacoms. It's all about data. And telecoms are in the best position in the days of AI. Where Graphiant's focus is how do we reduce cost of this infrastructure, because the speed with which this infrastructure is going to be built, the sovereignty of the data, the cost has to be improved around. The margin shift should happen between the vendors and the telecom providers. Today, the most margins, because of the services are moving towards vendor, is towards the vendors. The other piece is governance. How the data moves. It's very, very critical to the infrastructure, and it's only inside of the telecom provider that they can control the data movements rather than just randomly putting data or by building over the top network services. Security, that's the other piece. I should know the complete path my data took. It should be post-quantum secure. So we're ready today to provide a post-quantum security over a fabric infrastructure. And the new business model, which I saw in Pascal's slide, I mean, I've loved what Pascal has said. The new business model is about data exchange. The agentic AI framework, the extending the services anywhere to anywhere, that data exchange will happen between business partners. And it has to be secure, and it has to be completely controlled, because that data is no more just me watching Netflix. That is business critical data. That is national sovereign data. So from that perspective, that is also very, very critical. And the agentic AI framework. So from Graphiant's perspective, these networks that we have built, overlay networks, which were for content, that services are inside of the vendor's environment. They're all converting their product into services and building over-the-top services for SASE, for multi-cloud, for SD-WAN. That has to change. It has to convert into a single fabric. And the fabric is only available in a low-latency telecom environment. How do we enable it? For me, the most interesting part with Mplify is this whole federation and sovereignty and connectivity, how we build for that, how we build this next generation infrastructure, which is about low latency, availability, visibility, and observability. And any new service, just like hyperscalers connect to my environment, any new service should be able to connect. So we are very, very excited to be partnering with Mplify, because from joining the community, I'm very excited about this whole federation concept, about building the sovereignty of the network and providing that services to the customers. I'm trying to stay within 3 minutes.
Fantastic. Patrick, over to you.
Great, that means I have more time, thank you. I'm with LiteOn, probably one of the companies not many people have heard of. We are not in the networking space necessarily, but we are a 50-year-old company that has been around developing electronics power conversion for a long time. Our primary business right now is power supplies, power shelves at the rack level. So with IT, converting AC to DC for servers is primarily what we do. If you look at, we've heard a lot today about inferencing and what that is, and you look at the 3 stages of it, that I kind of simplified it, is you have the AI generation, the edge data centers or the inferencing, and then even further down the line, devices, cell phones, IoTs, everybody's been talking about this. I think where we play and what we're trying to do is direct current infrastructure, so DC infrastructure at the edge. And that fits very well with telcos. So we joined, why did we join? Because we see the opportunities for telcos to really take advantage of the inferencing space. And we've heard a lot about it from a networking perspective, from a software perspective, but also from a hardware perspective where telcos have existing spaces today, right? But a lot of central offices, 90% of them are empty because all the copper's gone. Now you've got a space where you can actually put the hardware, you can put the GPUs. The question then is, how do I do that? How do you do that in an efficient manner, and what does that revenue stream look like for you to be part of Edge? And really, you can be colo at the edge for clients who need to have that inferencing close to the load, the low latency requirements. So we see it as an opportunity to work with the members to help them work through how do we monetize what we have today. And this is beyond just the bandwidth and providing that pipe, but also monetizing existing facilities you have today and make additional money that you've pretty much have already written off. Now that's coming back and you have that opportunity. So how do we plan to contribute? We're looking at how do we standardize on distributed AI. So you've heard a few things around distributed AI and how instead of one big data center, you'll have multiple data centers and those all get connected. So we're part of that federation to help figure that out. But basically, we want to make it easy for you to deploy AI at your existing facilities. And we do that through our hardware infrastructure to allow for you to support AI's power and cooling requirements using existing infrastructure. And I think that's the key point here. So looking forward to working with you all.
Hi, I'm Tim Zemer from MaiaEdge. We're a startup. We've been around for about 2 years now. We're serial entrepreneurs. For the last 2 decades, we've been building startups, working with carriers and enterprises. We had a business called Acme Packet, which worked with many of you as you connected voice over IP islands together. Then we had 128 Technology, which was innovating in IP routing, became part of Juniper's Mist platform. And for the last 2 years, Abhilash, my partner in the back of the room there, and he sat down with a napkin a little bit more than 2 years ago at a hotel when we were running up with problems in this middle mile, and came up with an idea. And what if we could provide instant private Ethernet connectivity anywhere across multiple network boundaries? And so we are not a network as a service company. We're making good old-fashioned infrastructure that carriers can buy and deploy and create your own decentralized fabric. And that's one of the reasons that we're so excited to be part of Mplify, because they have a lot of the same vision. If you listen to Pascal talk about the federation, these digital twins that you're going to be putting on, we can provide you with your own infrastructure execution layer that allows for that to happen. He talked about the data plane needed to be available before all this other stuff has value. We can provide you with an easy way to enable your existing infrastructure with, in fact, that data plane. So, today, Bob Metcalf famously said that, they got my build on here, famously said that Ethernet always wins. And we've seen Ethernet win in the LAN. We've seen Ethernet win in the data center, especially helped, dramatically by NVIDIA, replacing InfiniBand with Ethernet. We believe Ethernet can win in the wide area as well. Every GPU that's out there is going to expect an Ethernet fabric. And so today, if you're trying to provide Ethernet from end to end and it's going across existing NNIs, it's complicated, it's manual, and it's blind. Now, Mplify has done great work in providing APIs. We're really here to help drive adoption. What if being LSO compliant could be as simple as dropping in a small device? And that's, I'll talk a little bit about what we're doing now. So we have, if you remember Acme Packet, we made session border controllers that connected the voice over IP islands. What we're creating now is something called a path border controller, and this path border controller connects the Ethernet islands. And so without having to go into BGP and all of the more complicated routing protocols, we allow you to forward Ethernet paths across any connectivity. So across DIA, across layer 2, across dark fiber, and what's more exciting is you can now federate together. So you can remain sovereign and you can connect to other providers. Basically, if you have a path border controller, you now have a carrier-neutral way to create a dynamic ENNI to any other carrier in the planet that does that. And that's going to become very powerful, especially as Pascal's vision of the federation takes hold. So not enough time in 3 minutes to describe what we're doing, but anyway, that's a high level. Thanks.
Fantastic. So I guess I am the only anomaly in the room here. So they're doing fantastic things, and I think this is very relevant to this audience, and then we come in here. So we're talking about cybersecurity. I mean, so already we are into a new discussion and a new topic. So why is this relevant? And I struggled with it. I'll tell you, I was really struggling with how does cybersecurity work within the context of this room. Then I started to think through and say, okay, so we all understand NIST from the US. If you're in the Europe, NIS2. And then you have CISA and you have NISA. These are great. So when I look at NIST, I look at the master architects. Those are the guys who are out there, they define the future. And they keep defining and reiterating what we need to be thinking about. So it's a great job, guys. Then you talk about CISA. So what do? They are the advanced warning system, right? They are proactively looking at threats, what's going on there, and telling us, okay, here are the 6 core functions that NIST has put out, and then these core functions have to have some performance goals that you guys have to go after, and they have a checklist that we all follow. What we have been doing so far is essentially trying to take these two, talk to enterprises, talk to technology providers, talk to service providers, and help to validate these outcomes so that we can be the live defenders in the stack that you are deploying these security solutions in. So we help you to validate these solutions against the outcomes that we need. We are technology agnostic. Of course, everybody who likes to have a marketing buzz, a word around a specific technology, like SASE or SD-WAN, but the reality is, what are these technology protecting you against? These are your use cases, your real world use cases and outcomes that you care about, that you are protecting against. And we deliver that philosophy around, we go and validate against these use cases and the philosophy. Now, why I'm talking about this philosophy, this is critical because this resonated with what Mplify is trying to do. So where does Mplify come in and where do we fit in? So when I looked at NIST, master architects, you got the storm warning systems, which is the CISAs of the world. And then when you talk about your neighborhood, how do you define the high standards that your neighborhoods and your communities need? That's you guys. That's Mplify. And having that kind of like a powerful standard that can drive cybersecurity awareness and importance through the AI era becomes more and more important. It's just not SD-WAN, it's just not SASE. They are foundational pillars within what you do. But bringing them all together, I think then it resonated. Okay, now we are at the forefront of trying to establish some new standards based on what's built by NIST and CISA, and we have the ability to already deliver the outcomes and our use cases we test against. We just have to implement those into standards. So when Daniel and Isabella, we were talking about these standards and how they could eventually evolve into cybersecurity standards, which Daniel likes to call it as the gold standards, that is what excites me. We really want to go into the gold standards for Mplify that can be implemented everywhere. And we will be the inspectors who go in and inspect those homes, and we will test it for you, and Mplify can give the certification, right? And working this ecosystem together is what has helped us to come in. And I truly, passionately believe we have a huge opportunity in the area of cybersecurity. And it is ours to take. I have been with other standards organizations before, and they have failed. I've said this to a few people. when it comes to cybersecurity, it's very, very difficult to implement standards and execute it. Standards, this organization has a proven track record. You guys have done it. Kudos to you all. Let's also do that in the world of cybersecurity, and let's develop those standards, which becomes the gold standards. And we'll work towards validating them with you guys. So that's my pitch. I don't even think I need to go through the rest of the slides.
All right, well, thanks very much. Glad to have you on board, and